Hey guys, welcome to the channel. The number one question that we get is, where should I buy a duplex in Houston? How do I go about the process? How much does it cost? What are the hot areas? What kind of financing can I use? So today we're going to do a crash course, get you guys behind the scenes on what I tell people whenever they ask that question. If you don't know, my name is Michael Carpenter. I am a Houston Realtor, and I specialize in helping investors or people who think about buying real estate as an investment. So whether that's buying a multifamily property, you're going to house hack, whether that's buying your primary home and you're investing into your lifestyle and your family, whatever that is, I'm here to help you buy, sell, or lease. But today we're going to talk about duplexes and where the hot areas in Houston are for that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, share my screen. We're going to look at a map of Houston and talk about where the top areas are to buy a multifamily property in Houston. We're going to look at 4 different areas. We're going to look at the Sunnyside area on the south side. We're going to look at Galena Park, which is here on the east side, specifically in this Fidelity corridor. We're going to look at City Gas, which is northeast Houston, and then we're going to look at Acres Home over here. So this is going to be crash course, masterclass type video, and we're going to basically just dive in. So first of all, if you are new to Houston, a couple big landmarks that you should know. As if you don't, you should know at this point, Houston's a massive city. And, the adage is, Houston is an hour from Houston. So when we say Houston, that can mean a lot of different things, right? Every area has its own kind of unique DNA. So in general, though, when we're talking about Houston, we're talking about the core of the city. The core of the city is defined by the 610 loop. So it's kind of a big circle here. Everything inside of this is the core of the city, okay? And then slightly outside of it. So these are where we're going to be mainly focusing in. If you zoom out, you'll see the Beltway 8 out here. That's kind of the other big loop around kind of the Metroplex area. And then around the loop is a lot of the popular suburbs that you probably have heard about when it comes to Houston. You got Missouri City, Sienna, Sugar Land. You got Cypress and Katy over here, Humble. These are some of the top suburbs. So we won't be talking about those in this video today. We're going to talk about more of the core of the city. So like I said, there's about 4 hot markets where you can get duplexes. And when I say duplexes, we're talking about multifamily, okay? So multiple doors, and the concentration is typically a lot of new construction right now. That's a lot of the craze, but there's also just high inventory of even resale older duplexes. And so we'll start off today with the Sunnyside area. So this is just south of 610, the loop, and it's right over here in this corner. This was historically a different disenfranchised community, so lower income, and this neighborhood is slowly gentrifying. But where we're seeing a lot of the gentrification is in the new construction, but a lot of it is multifamily new construction, which is a rental product. Okay, so when you buy a duplex, you're not buying, a primary home typically that you're going to live in forever. A lot of times people buy multifamily as a house hack where they're going to live in it temporarily while they rent out one side, and then eventually they'll move out and rent both sides out, or we just buy a duplex and they rent both sides, and it's an investment product or a way to tax shelter, a lot of different strategies. So Sunnyside is a really popular area for that, particularly because of its access to the medical center. So the medical center is the largest medical center in the United States, and it's a huge employment hub. Okay, so anytime you are looking at an investment products and real estate, you want to be close to employment. You want to be close to where people live, work, and play. Okay, that helps you have a strong investment. Okay, you also have NRG Stadium over here, which is obviously where the Texans play. Lots of concerts. So Sunnyside is literally about 5 to 10 minutes up the highway from these. Okay, so when we think about people who are coming in town for events, if you have a multifamily property in Sunnyside and you're doing Airbnb or short-term rentals, it's really easy for people to get from your place all the way to where they're going to work, play, and visit. You also have the museum district, and then you're really not far from downtown. Okay, so 288 and 59 is kind of splits the middle of the 610 loop, and on the left side here is where this is probably the most expensive parts of the city. So Houston Heights, Montrose, Midtown, River Oaks, West U. These are all extremely expensive places to live, and really popular. Lots of restaurants, bars, a lot of city life that people really enjoy. On the east side here, there is starting to be more investment into like the Third Ward area, Second Ward, East Downtown. But in general, this area is a little bit behind in terms of economically. And so Sunnyside is kind of on the southeast side, and so it's impacted by that. Now, let's look at a duplex that actually is in this area. So we're going to look at 4803 Paula Street. This is a duplex that some friends of mine have built and developed and are selling. So the duplexes in the Sunnyside area run from around the high 400s to mid to low 500s. So a little bit more on the expensive end because of the proximity to those areas, those things we talked about in terms of the medical center, NRG Stadium, close to downtown. So you can see this is a new construction product. This is a really attractive, really luxury type duplex. So this would be one that I think would be a really high quality buy for someone who wanted to do a house hack and you want to live there and you want to live in a really nice place, but also have a strong rental. So that's what you can expect from Sunnyside. Now, Sunnyside is one of the more popular places for duplexes. And so we are seeing quite a bit of inventory and quite a lot of competition happening in this market. To some degree, even it's created downward pressure on the pricing because there are so many options. The cream rises to the crop in this neighborhood. So you really got to have a really well thought out product. You can't just throw a duplex together and put it on the market anymore and be able to sell quickly. In Sunnyside, you really have to put a property that really meets the needs of the community. So properties that have garages, that have 3 bedrooms, that have gated communities, that have or gates around them for security, that are really well built, really sell quicker than ones that are just kind of thrown up really quickly. So that's just the area where if you're building or buying this area, you really want to be really careful to make sure you buy a really quality product and make sure your numbers work because it is getting a little bit more expensive here. So you really got to make sure that financially it makes sense for you to buy. So people who have cash and can put 20% down, who can really bring a lot of equity to the deal are going to win versus people who are doing FHA or VA and they're just putting, the minimum amount down, from 0 to 3.5% down. Typically those folks' numbers don't pan out as much because your mortgage is typically not going to be higher than what you can get in rent. Okay. So now let's talk about the Fidelity neighborhood. Fidelity, if you look at this little road right here, there are duplexes all up and down this road. It's crazy. Every time I go over there, I call this duplex land. Builders have been able to get cheap, affordable land here, and they are throwing duplexes up. And really, you can get them really affordably. Duplexes in the under $400,000 range. So we're talking about. I'm gonna see if I can find one here. Duplexes that are like this, top, bottom, side by side, but you can get these for under 400,000, even in the 350, 330 range. And they're going to be new construction. These are typically going to be smaller units. So you're anywhere from 9 to 1,400 square feet per side. So around 2,800 to 3,000 total. So they're going to be smaller units, but they're going to be new construction and they're going to be, they're going to look nice and they're going to be great rental products. So this is another area that if you are, in terms of budget, this is where I think you can get a lot of bang for your buck because you can get new construction or even older duplexes that, maybe 5 to 10 years old that are still going to be in good condition and they're going to be in a market that's a strong renters market. So that's something unique that you need to understand about specifically the areas where you're building these duplexes or people are buying these. Again, these are renter neighborhoods. These are blue collar neighborhoods where people are, lower income to slightly under middle income people, right? And so they're going to be renting, and so you really have to be careful in these areas to understand that even if you have a really nice place, you have to understand that the people who live in this neighborhood are only going to be able to afford so much. So you really got to make sure you pay attention to the rental costs, and that when you're financing your deals, you're putting your deals together in a really smart way. And we'll talk about the rental comps in a different video, but Fidelity, Galena Park area is going to be a great area to look for duplexes. Some of this area even feels a little bit rural at times, right? So there may be larger empty lots around you. There may be really narrow streets where there's not really a lot happening. Whereas Sunnyside, where we just talked about, is very urban. Lots of cars, lots of traffic, a lot of activity happening, people walking around. There's just a lot, right? And historically, people have looked at this neighborhood as you would maybe call the hood. And this, to me, I just look at this area as a neighborhood that is transforming, a neighborhood that's just been disenfranchised, and so it will continue to get better. But very urban, lots of activity. Whereas this neighborhood there's also, lots of traffic, but it's just a slower pace and larger lot sizes, a little bit more spread out. So kind of has a little bit more of a rural feel more so than kind of an urban center core. So if you kind of like that, this might be a neighborhood for you. Going up north a little bit, we're going to go into the City Gas area. So this is a neighborhood that is also seeing a lot of rejuvenation, a lot of single family coming to this area, as well as multifamily. The Harris County Hospital here, Lyndon B. Johnson Hospital, is undergoing a massive $1 million renovation, which has been a great marketing point to just bring attention to the neighborhood. So in general, this whole area is starting to be revitalized. Lots of residential development happening. So what happens is once you have the rooftops, then the commercial follows. So right now we're still in the residential building phase. So there's not a lot of, this is the food desert. There's not a lot of restaurants, a lot of hole in the wall type restaurants, a lot of really local spots, but you don't have big commercial centers like Targets and Walmarts and HEBs out here. Because historically there just hasn't been the economics for that. The neighborhoods have been lower income, and there just hasn't, the economics didn't make sense. But as we have more and more people moving in here, that's going to change over time. So again, it's a great place to buy a rental property because of the population. You have to be careful again. And what's unique about even all of these neighborhoods, talking about City Gas, this Galena Park, Fidelity neighborhood, Sunnyside, when you think about who's living in these duplexes, almost all of these are the same people from a demographic standpoint in terms of how much they make, what kind of jobs they work, typically minority. These are kind of a lot of the same profile, right? So we think about this east side of Houston, this has just been a minority neighborhood, and there's not a blanket statement over the whole area, but in general, if you think about some of these duplexes, the rental comps are going to be in the $1,500 to $2,500 a month kind of area. So you're going to have to do the math, understand like what that means in terms of what somebody's income is. And so these are all going to be kind of similar. So not a massive difference in those demographics from these neighborhood to neighborhood, but in City Gas and in Fidelity, you can get a little bit cheaper properties. So let's look at, let's see. So this is a duplex that my friend John built in the kind of the City Gas Fidelity area. You can see, again, really high quality finishes, really interesting layout. Again, these are smaller. What's the square footage on these? 2,280 square feet. Okay, so you divide that in half, it's about 1,100 square feet. Okay, so these units, again, are very efficient, not a lot of space, but again, they're designed for people to live. Unfortunately, it's just as things get more expensive to build, builders have to build smaller to still be able to build a quality product for people. So in general, if you're buying a new construction duplex or you're moving into one, you have to expect that you're going to be living in a smaller place. And I think that's something as a society we have to just get used to, living in smaller places. Obviously, more older units are bigger, and sometimes those just need to be renovated. Okay, so now let's switch over to Acres Home. What I love about Acres Home is the proximity to the Heights. Okay, so similar to Sunnyside, where you're close to the medical center, you're close to NRG corridor, you're close to downtown. Acres Home is close to the Heights, Independence Heights, Garden Oaks area, Spring Branch. All these areas here are very popular, and so what you're seeing is as these fill out, and really at some point it's just not affordable, people have started to push north for affordability reasons, and honestly just more space. Like there's not even space here to build larger developments anymore, so they started to push north, and that's bringing a higher income group of people to this area. Okay, so when we talked about earlier in City Gas about there not necessarily being a lot of commercial development, we have a lot of residential but not commercial. Here, they're further along in that process here in Acres Home. And so Acres Homes has, Target has purchased property here, HEB, which is our big kind of grocery store system here in Texas, specifically in the Houston market. They've purchased land here. Really starting to see a strong commercial push here. And that's because the area median income has increased, because these higher income people, upper middle class folks are starting to move into these neighborhoods. And so they have disposable income. So that means the businesses here are making more money. That means new businesses can come in and build business models and performance based on a new population that lives in these neighborhoods. Okay, so that's why I really like Acres Home for that reason, because there's just strong upside in terms of the economics. Here is a property that's in that area around the 470. Acres Home has similar pricing as Sunnyside, so in that mid 400s to low 500,000. And again, it's going to be street to street. There are some streets where the whole street is built out, where there's like new construction on the whole street. There's other streets where it still might look a little rough or a little underdeveloped. Okay, so this particular neighborhood, though, I really liked the opportunity here. This is a great price duplex. So this has a one-car garage. It's got a driveway. It looks really well built, and there's a lot of quality. 2,900 square feet. So you're looking at, around 1,400, 1,500 per side. So I really think that is a good size duplex in terms of a new construction. And yeah, you can just see again, attractive design, great fixtures, and this would be a nice place that somebody would want to live in, right? So if you're looking to house hack, this would be a great property where you'd be proud to live in this, and you're gonna really feel like you're living in a nice place. So again, low 500,000s to high 400s. So that's what you can expect here. Rents, again, we're not going to take a deep dive into rents in this video, but you're going to be able to expect for a product like that, you're going to be in the 18 to 2,100 range, depending on the size, kind of the specific street area, how, where it's at in the neighborhood, what the amenities are. Those are kind of be the range that you're going to be looking at, whether it's 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, has a garage, has a gate. All those things kind of impact ultimately what rent you can get, and also just the demand at the time of year. So those are just some quick highlights of some things that you can expect in terms of the duplex market here in Houston. If you want more detail, go to the link in my description. You can book a call with me, and I can build a custom list for you based on your budget or what area of town you want to live in, and we can come up with duplexes that would be something that was suitable for you, help you run comps, help you understand the numbers, connect you with lenders so you can look at your financing and really understand what that looks like. Now, if you are not comfortable living in a developing neighborhood, okay, so like I said, all these neighborhoods are developing, right? So sometimes there may be things that people who are not familiar, who haven't lived in an urban core before, it may be different, right? And so that's for some people it's not, right? So if you're really thinking you want to be in the thick of it all, you want to be in the top neighborhoods in Houston, and you want to have, where the streets are done, there's a lot of public amenities, you really have to up your expectations in terms of how much money you're going to spend. Okay. So for example, this is probably one of my all-time favorite properties in Houston. I absolutely love this property. And if I had $500,000 to spend on a down payment, I would be buying this property personally. This is a duplex in the Heights. Okay, so when we think about one of the top neighborhoods in Houston, where some of the most affluent people live, you're looking at the Heights in this neighborhood here. And so 808 Coronado is a incredible property, and I love this industrial feel. This kind of property looks like you could have a barbershop in here. You could run a coffee shop out here. There's a lot of even commercial elements that you could do in this particular property. Really beautiful property. Even has like a pool in the backyard. This would be a great Airbnb. Lots of things that you could do with a property like this, but obviously it comes with a hefty price tag of $2 million, right? So when you're thinking about moving into some of the really popular parts of the city in the Montroses of the world, you really have to understand what that means in terms of pricing. So just expect that if you want to be in the best parts of the city, you're going to really need to up your budgets to around the $800,000 to $1 million range to really get a premium property. Other than that, you're really going to be looking at neighborhoods that are on the east side or on that northwest corner of Houston. I really, really like this area of Houston. A lot of older properties here, but a lot of properties have a lot of character. You can see a lot of triplexes, properties that maybe a single family house that has an ADU, a garage apartment in the back. You see a lot of that in the Magnolia Park area, in the Second Ward area, Third Ward. So again, there's so many options, so many opportunities, even in Denver Harbor here. In Denver Harbor, I found a triplex the other day that was $250,000. It's 3 1-bedroom units, right? It's been updated, looks great. So there's creative ways that you can do to be able to get into multifamily property, and I'd be happy to help guide you and help show you the options that are out there. So again, thanks for watching the video. I hope this was really helpful. I know it was a little bit long. I really wanted to do a deep dive masterclass and really show you guys some of the things that I talk about with my clients and that they understand as they go into their search for multifamily property. So let me know in the comments what questions you have, and let me know what other videos you guys want, whether you want to talk about the financing side of things, you want to talk about what the rental comps are, you just want to look at more properties. Let me know in the comments so that I can create more valuable content for you guys. And yeah, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and we'll talk to you guys later.